My name is Liz. I am a consultant here at New York Wired for Education. What we have is we have a learning platform called Metrics Learning, as some of you may be familiar with. I know that some of you are, so this is good news. But really the purpose of today is, I'll kind of go over the agenda here. You should see it momentarily. Well, give me a minute here. Okay, there we go. So you should see it on the screen here. This is just a brief agenda. Basically, what I'm going to do today is review the career pathways, which is new to Metrics Learning, go over client navigation a bit, some of the administrative features, overall process, and at the end, there'll be kind of a questions and discussion about, how you see this all fitting, within your, for your clients, within your location, within your services. So just to kind of give you a background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief background about New York Wired for Education, just to start for those of you who aren't familiar. Okay. So New York Wired for Education is the company that we work for here. We have a very long history, and we started out in New York State, basically helping schools K through 12 get on the internet. There was some teacher training involved. In 2003, we did a career pathways program for youth. We are actually located in Albany, New York. We work in about 15 states nationally now, doing kind of workforce development and metrics learning. But back in 2008, what we did was a career pathways specifically for inner city youth. So it was in kind of 3 counties located here in New York. We did that for a number of years. And so in 2008, the height of the recession, what we did is we launched Metrics Learning. So Metrics Learning is a learning management platform that aggregates content from various content providers. And the whole goal of Metrics Learning was to help those unemployed adults get skill upgrading so that they can go on and pursue their careers or to find employment. So 2008 was the height of the recession. This was a cost-effective way to deliver skill upgrading. And since 2008, we've kind of expanded on different areas. So one of the areas, of course, is industry certifications. Obviously, credentials are a huge part of WIOA. So what we have within Metrics Learning is training for 130 industry-recognized certifications. This ranges from Microsoft Office all the way to project management or professional and human resources. So there's a range of certifications one can pursue via Metrics. Metrics, however, is self-paced learning, so these certifications, an individual will be going through training and then go to another provider or another testing center to actually obtain that certification. So no one becomes certified simply by taking Metrics itself. But we do a variety of programs. We've done mentored programs, both virtually and in person, and we've had great results with that. In 2016, what we're looking to do and what we have been doing is focused on career pathways. So of course, career pathways is really a buzz word, not only in the workforce side of things, but also in education and economic development. So what we're doing, I'm going to kind of go to the next page here, is really honing in on these career pathways. Basically, as part of the new legislation that came out in July, the WIOA, or Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, is calling for a number of measures, one of the measures being career pathways. So what you're seeing on the screen now, these are 6 elements that really kind of make up the career pathways itself. This information was taken from the U.S. Department of Labor. They released a guide, I think about 130 pages long, outlining what and how to implement career pathways. So these 6 elements: building cross agencies, identifying industries, sectors, designing programs, of course aligning the funds and policies, and of course measurement, all have to do with career pathways. These 6 elements quite nicely line up with what we've been working towards the past several years. So what we're envisioning here with the career pathways is sort of this ecosystem of WIOA. So what you'll see here on this chart is we see the Workforce Development Board being the center of the community and kind of this push with career pathways and education. And so in kind of direct correlation with the employers, the workforce development is working closely with them, and then what you see on the outside are the other entities within the community that really kind of make up this ecosystem. So within kind of partnerships and across agencies, you can really build out these successful measures that align with what WIO is calling for and things of that nature. So as we go on to this next page here, this is what we're envisioning. We're kind of rebranding and saying that metrics learning, this concept of kind of expanding it not only to the Workforce Development Board, but opening it up to the larger community, which is possible now with this kind of new career pathways model. We're calling this Skill Up America. Basically, the goal of this is to align the employer demand, of course, with job seekers. We're trying to say no matter if you have a master's degree or whether you're on public assistance, you can gain some skills through Skill Up America. And it doesn't matter if you're getting these services through the Workforce Development Board or through a partnering agency. The whole concept here is to build these partnerships so that we can really leverage this technology to help the mass and really do this kind of good for the entire community. So that is our vision and our goal, not only in Contra Costa, but all the locations that we're working with nationally. So what you'll see here on the next page is really the target locations that we've been working with these past several months and actually several years. So like I said, metrics learning started back in 2008. So for a number of these organizations, we've been working with them for anywhere between 4 to 8 years. So obviously there's a lot that goes with metrics learning itself in terms of implementing it, having a strategy, making sure that people are actually utilizing it effectively. So all of these organizations that you see here are innovative. As you know, there can be some challenges in dealing with government budgets and the timeliness of things. So everyone on this list are innovative workforce development boards. There's 2 that aren't workforce development boards. There's Eastern Connecticut, where the main kind of lead there is manufacturing businesses and companies. And then there's also Urban Ed, which is a community-based organization in DC working with inner city youth. And then in addition, there is Buffalo, New York, where there's the community college that's being the lead in this. So basically the whole goal of this Skill Up America and the Career Pathways portal is to align the job seekers and bring the partners within a community together so that we can come up with kind of this cohesive strategy to really implement results in terms of training and getting people into employment and successfully. So what you're looking at right now, this is our career pathway strategy, and it's a lot of information to take in at the front. So what I'm going to start at the top here with the intake, and then we'll work our way down and kind of explaining this. So as I said, metrics learning was first designed to kind of meet the needs of adults who are unemployed. So we've had great results with that. On average, adults have performed 20% better in the 3 common measures for WIO. So that's entered employment, wage gain, and retention. So we've known it's worked with that. Now, since over the years, we've also done other types of programs that have targeted the other populations that the Workforce Development Board serves. So youth, starting with them, like we said, we did a program back in 2003 for a number of years, specifically designed for youth, and we're going back to that. So what we're doing now is we're working a lot with the youth providers in various workforce development boards so that they can use metrics to complement their existing programs. And so there's different types of strategies we're using with youth to do that. We'll go into that a little bit later. Public assistance we've also had experience with. In addition, we've had great results recently in Orlando, Florida. So in Orlando, Florida, they serve 6 counties. The primary target and population that utilizes metrics in Orlando are the public assistance, so the welfare transition and the SNAP participants. So what they do in Central Florida is they actually utilize metrics learning to count towards their core activity hours that are required monthly. So per month, they're required approximately 41 hours. And what they can do is they can take metrics learning, and the courses within metrics will count towards that particular stipend that they need in order to receive their food benefits or other types of benefits. So that's had great results. They register approximately, I'd say 230 people on average a month. So there's a lot of people going through. They are consistent, and it's been a great process so far. So of course, public assistance is something that can be, well, that model itself can be replicated, obviously with some tweaks here and there, to serve Contra Costa as well. In addition, there's also reentry. Reentry, of course, is a huge population to serve, and there's a lot of opportunity to do more with that. So we've done programs with recently incarcerated. There was a program that we did in Liverpool, New York, where there were youth who were recently incarcerated, and what they did is they had two mentors who kind of led this program. They utilized a blended learning approach, meaning that these two mentors were in the classroom with these ex-offenders, and they primarily targeted hospitality and retail types of occupations. So they did training towards those two kind of career paths. And these mentors would go through the curriculum with them after they did that with the students. They would talk about it, and they would kind of put it into perspective how they could apply that on the job, on what they learned in the course. So this was a great program, and that kind of blended learning approach that was used in that reentry population can also be replicated with public assistance and youth. So you can kind of take these different strategies to really get the results that you're looking for. So of course there's opportunity there. And then the last two here, incumbent workers and veterans. We've done a lot of work here in the Albany area kind of targeting incumbent workers, meaning those individuals who could advance in their careers. So that's a lot of involvement in terms of understanding a business or a company. For example, here in Albany, we worked with a hospital, a local hospital, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to move their entry-level individuals up to managerial positions. So we helped them build an ascendancy model to take those entry-level workers and then bring them up into managerial positions. And what we did there was we designed curriculum in partnership with the managers there, the HR managers, and then what they did is they met on a quarterly basis to review what they had learned, and they had great results with that. So similar types of strategies can be used to target that population. And lastly here, veterans. We've worked with veterans. Veterans are a great group to work with. They're motivated. They are completely self-motivated, so they're a great fit for metrics learning. We work with Syracuse University and their veterans programs. So currently they're doing programs targeting in IT certifications. They've had amazing results. They're currently utilizing this in 10 bases nationally. It's going to grow to 40, so they are definitely a great target in utilizing this. So the second step here, of course, we have the first step of the population. So what we're basically doing is trying to figure out ways to, better leverage metrics learning for the other populations beyond adults. And so the first step in this is an assessment piece. So we have three different types of assessment within metrics. If you're familiar with metrics learning itself, you know that there is a self-assessment. What we do is we bring in those federal ONET occupation and job titles directly from the site, and we put it into context. So an individual can do a self-assessment to rate themselves on the most prevalent job skills. What we're utilizing the ONET now with is the Career Pathways tool. So the first step of the Career Pathways tool, they'll fill out a self-assessment, approximately 25 skills they have to assess themselves on, but they're, I think, included in that there's over 200 skills. So the more skills they do, the more accurate they'll be through the different occupations. But it's a way to kind of see where your skills are at and then compare them to what skills are required. Alternative to that self-assessment, the first is that digital literacy assessment. So in talking about youth or maybe public assistance and even reentry, they might not have the skills to navigate a computer on their own. Therefore, they probably won't be successful within metrics learning. One of the keys to be successful in metrics is having digital literacy skills. Because this is self-paced learning, you do need to, use a computer. So there, I think Yolanda had showed me a form that you all probably have, and it basically is a questionnaire asking, did they do email? Do they have some certain skills? If someone doesn't have skills to do metrics learning, they could take this assessment, and it's really interactive. This is actually from Minnesota Literacy Council. We partner with the public library there in Minnesota and St. Paul, and we partnered with this organization because they have a lot of introductory assessments, and we use a few of them to assess someone's skills. So basically, if they don't pass this digital literacy assessment, there's probably resources within the community, whether it be at the workforce development boards or at the library, where an individual could go to take maybe a basic computer course. So you're basically helping someone at least get a step in the right direction. And so metrics can even be an endpoint for them. They would first go through that kind of computer course, and then they could receive metrics. So you're really helping kind of push them to the next level. The last assessment here is Connexa Prove It. So Connexa Prove It is an IBM company. A lot of staffing agencies will utilize Connexa Prove It to see if an individual has a particular skill set. Basically, there's 900 technical skills. They range from Microsoft Office to accounting, typing, etc. So I know you have utilized Connexa in the past. Part of this Career Pathways portal is unlimited access to those skill assessments. At any of the locations, an individual will have access to those kind of Prove It assessments, not only for the unemployed individuals, but this can also be utilized as a career service, or a business service, I should say. So it can be used to help engage business partners if they need, kind of resources for screening their applicants. It's a great way to do that as well. In addition, we've also had success in doing Connexa Prove It's a pre or post different types of training. So if someone, if you're looking to have someone go into a technical school or, a different type of program that is maybe more costly, you could have them go through these Connexa Prove It's to see if they have the skills. If they don't, they could take remediation through metrics learning and then be placed at another type of more in-depth training, classroom training session, or they can just, receive the information they need through metrics itself. So what we offer through metrics learning is online training. So we have what's called eLearning. What you see here, these are 3 largest content providers, and they really cover the basis for kind of foundation and industry types of skills. So the first one is Skillsoft. Skillsoft is the top e-learning provider in the world for business, desktop, and IT. So if you're familiar with metrics, Skillsoft has been a partner of ours for about 15 years. So they have great content. A lot of Fortune 1000 companies utilize their content for their own internal training. So it's pretty recognizable among employers, and that's where the bulk of our content comes from. However, we also have content for healthcare. It's from a company called Medcom. We have about 900 courses or so from them. This is a great tool to use as a prerequisite for CNA programs or other types of healthcare programs, to make sure that those dollars being utilized in those programs for training are being used effectively. So we've had organizations kind of use this, have someone take maybe 10 or 15 courses in the CNA track or pathway, and then be placed in kind of more in-depth training, so that that person feels confident when they're in the training, and they're more likely to be successful after the training as well. So actually full, go towards completion for that. In addition, those Medcom courses do count as continuing education units, some of them, not all of them. So that's a great opportunity as well. If you have someone that comes through the doors who might have history in the healthcare industry, this will kind of help them upgrade that as well. And then new to metrics and to this career pathways portal is Amatrol. So Amatrol is manufacturing content, and it's really interactive. I think it's going to be a great resource for you all to utilize. Basically, there's about 900 courses or so in there that they offer, and they're really interactive. They're similar to Skillsoft in that they have tests at the end, so you can kind of measure the results there. And again, this Amatrol content can be paired with other types of training, used as a prerequisite possibly for those kind of classroom trainings. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to basically use these e-learning resources as a bridge to other types of training. Obviously, classroom training, you can't really replace that necessarily through online learning, but there's some things that can be supplemented, or there's some things that can be used as a prerequisite so that you get better results in the classroom. In addition, kind of building this career pathways and this kind of model, you're saving money. So you can do some things online and then really utilize the rest of your funds and those training dollars to maybe on-the-job training or other types of avenues. So a huge part of training, of course, there comes the industry credentials, right? So if an individual completes a course in Skillsoft, Medcom, or Amatrol, or Connect-Approve-It, they'll receive a certificate of completion. This certificate of completion will state their name, it states the content provider, and the course they completed. So this is a great tool to utilize as a kind of talking point in an interview. So an individual can say, hey, I took these 10 courses that are directly related to the skills that you're asking for, and this is my proof of it. Of course, those certificates of completion don't count as credentials in terms of WIOA, but we do have things that count. So like I mentioned, we have training for 130 industry recognized certifications. So we have training to help someone prepare for these certifications. No one becomes certified simply by taking the training. They do have to go to an authorized testing center to sit for a proctored exam. So one of the testing centers is called Certiport, and they're one of the locations in Contra Costa County is a Certiport authorized testing center. So the Certiport Center can deliver entry-level certifications like Microsoft Office or QuickBooks or Adobe. So individuals could go right to the Career Center to take that exam, to those exams if they need to. In addition, there's Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE offers some more professional levels, and there's also Prometrics, which offers some more professional levels as well. But an individual can obtain that industry-recognized certification if they pass that proctored exam at those locations. An alternative to industry certifications is this new concept of digital badges. And I'm not sure if many of you have heard of it, but digital badges was basically an initiative started by Mozilla. It's an open source initiative, meaning that an organization can upload these digital badges to a website. Within these digital badges, there are metadata. There is metadata, I should say, and what that metadata entails are the courses that are related to that particular badge. So for example, if someone were going through a skill track on customer service, there would be a badge for customer service, and an employer could go to a website and they could look at that badge and they could see the 4 Skillsoft courses that that person took to obtain that badge. So it's a way to verify skills, and it's a way to engage the business community. A lot of this digital badges concept does have to be built on a local level, but it's a great way to kind of really, if you're doing a public assistance program, if you're doing a youth program or a reentry program, it's a way to engage the employers and have a kind of a talking point with them to say that this is really what they're doing and it's working. And of course, the last kind of item that you see on here, the licenses, associates, and bachelors, we don't offer those types of degrees or licenses via metrics, but obviously you can utilize some of the e-learning as a prerequisite to obtaining those different types of certificates. So the whole goal of this career pathway strategy, of course, is to gain or retain employment. So I know you can't ask questions here, but that was a lot of information, and if you have questions, I guess we'll answer them at the end. So So what we're moving on to now is the client view of metrics learning. If you're familiar with metrics learning, way back when, we used to have 6 steps. Then we broke it down to 3, and we're still keeping the 3 steps. However, we're having a little more navigation towards these 3 steps. Basically, what we've found is giving someone access to 5,000 courses, giving someone access to 5,000 courses is great. Sometimes, but the majority of the time it's easy to get lost. So what we're trying to do is really navigate someone in 2 different ways. One way being the career pathways and the other way being the skill tracks. So ultimately the whole goal of metrics is to help someone upgrade a particular skill track or skill set, I should say. So they can do this by doing the kind of the steps 1 or 2. Of course, the step number 3, what that does is it links to Indeed.com. So of course we want to, guide people towards that as well. So if we go ahead here, just make sure that you're on this page. Okay. So what you see here, this is the career pathways within metrics. So this is a new tool that we have, and what we've done is we've identified 10 different industries. And what an individual would do is they would first select an industry. These industries are based off of competency models from the ONET, employer input, and they're really relevant throughout the country. So it ranges from business administration to construction, manufacturing, and so forth. So an individual first picks an industry. From there, they select an occupation. Occupations range from entry-level to managerial level, and there's approximately 20 occupations per pathway. So we have over 200 occupations, or career paths, you could say, within the system. And so, like I said, the first step, even before they get to this page, is a self-assessment. They have to rate themselves on 25 skills, and when they do that, they'll see that there is this wheel chart here. So from the bottom, what you'll see, this kind of round chart under skills progress, this is a skill gap analysis. And what this does is it takes in the skills required for that particular industry and occupation, and it will relate it to the skills. Let's see, let me say that again. So what it does is it takes in the skills from the occupation and it compares it to how an individual rated themselves at. So what you'll see in the wheel chart, the skill gap analysis, the red indicates a skill gap is present, where the green and the blue indicate they either have the skill or exceed at the skill. So what we've done to the right-hand side is we've kind of built these progressive skill levels. So we start from foundation. Foundation skills include academic, personal, and workplace. Those foundation skills are relevant throughout all 10 industries and all occupations, so they remain the same. Moving on from foundation, we then move into industry, sector, occupation, and there also can be a 5th level here, employer, but for right now it's just foundation, industry, sector, and occupation. Basically what we do there is we basically say, do you have the skill or do you not have the skill? So from down below where it says courses and resources, that's where we map out the skills and the courses that align with those skills. So what we've done is we've mapped out e-learning courses to align with the skills related in the occupations and industries. So someone can take an e-learning course from Skillsoft, Amatrol, or Medcom to fulfill their skills. There's also the opportunity here to put in other resources or training providers. So let's say it's, one of the skills is Microsoft Office, and there is a training provider that offers Microsoft Office classroom training. What you can do is you can add that third-party element in so that an individual can see when they go in this career pathways tool that Microsoft Office is one of the skills required, and I either can take online training or I can request and see if I can get into classroom training. So someone can easily kind of use this tool as a resource to navigate what training is available and actually obtaining that training. So this can be a truly fleshed out career pathways. As of today, we have the bones in there for online learning. But as we kind of progress through this career pathways, we can definitely flesh that out more to make it customizable to Contra Costa County. So as I said, career pathways is one of the kind of paths that we want someone to utilize in metrics learning, but the alternative to career pathways is something called skill tracks. So if you're familiar with metrics, you have probably seen some of the skill tracks in here before. What we've done is we've really expanded upon these, so there's over 300 skill tracks now, and the example that you see here on the screen, I've kind of gone from basic skills. From there, I've chosen academic, and then I've kind of narrowed down to the different types of skills in academic skills. So one of them being business grammar. As you can see, for the business grammar 101 skill track, there are 3 courses involved: the parts of speech, working with words, and the mechanics of writing. So those 3 courses will make up a digital badge, which you see to the right-hand side, for business grammar. So if someone were to take all of those 3 courses, they would receive that digital badge. And that digital badge they can see that through their My Report, and they can also upload that to their LinkedIn profile. So this is, again, a great way to hone in on a particular skill, upgrade that skill, and prove that they have that particular skill. So this is a great resource as well, and a lot of other kind of content providers have been utilizing these skill tracks to complement their existing programs. For example, here, a community-based organization that work with youth, they do like a 7-month program, and they have utilized these skill tracks to complement their in-class training. So instructors are utilizing this, having students go in and take these courses. Not only does it familiarize them with online learning and the computer itself, but it also helps them with the skills that they're already teaching regardless. So this is a great tool to kind of utilize for those other types of populations other than adults as well. Now, if we see here, this is just an example of a Skillsoft course. So courses are available 24/7 from any computer with internet access. So this is flexible training. Someone can stop and pause courses at their own convenience. However, on average, courses will range from about an hour to 2 hours in length. So for Skillsoft courses, they're typically broken up into 3 parts. There is a pretest, which you'll see to the left-hand side. The pretest measures their existing skills. Then there's the lecture itself, which you see to the right. The lecture itself will have different kind of subcategories. So as you can see here, the first category for this course is Opening a Word Document 2010. What you'll see is that as they progress through the course and through the different objectives, those little bubbles kind of fill in with green so they can know where they're at in the course itself. And so it's very easy to follow along. And like I said, if they exit the course, they're automatically bookmarked the place where they left off, so they can just, next time they're ready to take a course, they can just jump back right in where they left off. So it's really kind of flexible. And then the last part of the course is a course test. So an individual does have to receive an 80% or higher to pass a course. If they don't receive an 80% or higher, that's okay. They can take the course again an unlimited number of times. So they have access until they like I said, they have access 24/7 and can go on and take it as many times as they like until they achieve the passing score that they so choose.